Welcome to our worship service at First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and hopeful for light and health and warmth as we look towards winter's end. My name is Kevin Moss, and I am the Celebration Associate today. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to everyone, whether you are newcomers or longtime attendees, members of the Ithaca community, or watching from afar. We are so glad you have chosen to be with us. Please check your email, our Facebook page, and our website for more information about how to create connections. If you'd like to receive weekly updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are specially invited to visit our website and complete a newcomer form on the homepage so that we can get to know you and you can learn more about us. Our service this morning has been pre-recorded, but we look forward to sharing the service broadcast on Sunday morning and seeing you at the live coffee hour that follows.
It has been a year. 1 year since we greeted one another with smiles not hidden by masks and screens. 1 year since the dancing in the aisles and shared meals and joining our voices together in clumsy songs, probably in a round, imperfectly and beautifully creating something filled with beauty and with joy. It has been a year. A year since we last worshiped together in those creaky pews, meditating amidst the shuffling feet and the clearing of throats and the silence of tears and hopes and worries. A year. A year since handshakes and hugs and hymns, since small children gathered on the dais with wonder in their eyes, passing around items to explore. A year. 365 days of being apart and still of being together, of finding new ways of connection, of struggling through and creating community in new ways, a year of challenge and creativity, of settling in for the long haul toward whatever comes next. It has been a year, and here we are, gathered in love for the good of each other and a community we so dearly love. Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Here you belong.
These are times of isolation and loneliness. Our hearts long for connection and for one another.
Illness has visited our lives. Struggle and pain are in our communities. Our children's lives have been disrupted. There has been such great loss.
And yet we are surrounded by beauty, by grace, and by music that blesses us.
All the while, we are surrounded by love. We are loved into courage.
We are loved into community. We are loved into generosity. We are loved into being. We are loved into being.
Come, let us open our hearts and grow the size of our souls. Come, let us worship together.
It sounds in Pirates tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing. When friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing to risen Sam and Captain Bob? Our thoughts to them are wheeling. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Good morning, friends. A quick reminder, today is the final and 8th day of our commitment to the 8 Principles of UU Photo Challenge. And if you haven't gotten around to sharing photos yet, don't panic. You still have a chance to share with us and possibly win that $50 gift certificate to Buffalo Street Books. Submissions will be taken through Monday, March 22nd. And don't forget, for all children and youth who participate, there will be a special thank you gift included in your April UU crate. As you know, today marks a year since we have been together. A year. 365 days, give or take. That is a long time. It feels like a long time to me. And I know that for those of you who can count the number of years you've been alive on one hand, or two, or even on your hands and toes, it probably feels much longer. Why is that? Why is it that the older we get, the faster time seems to pass, and vice versa? Part of it is because of the proportion or percentage of our life so far that each increment takes up. If you are 10 years old today, a year is 1/10 of your life, which is a huge part of it. And if you are 50 years old right now, today, it is 1/50th of your life, which is a much smaller percentage of the whole, even if the number of days we have been unable to see one another in person is exactly the same. And this is one of the reasons why I know that this year has felt different to each of us. It is one of the many ways we are living together during this time while experiencing it in a multitude of individual ways. Speaking of math, let's open up our small dated packets marked 3/14 or March 14th. What did you find inside of yours? I found this. What is it? Oh, on the back it says it's a temporary tattoo, and it looks like a spiral of endless numbers. Oh, that's right. It's Pi Day. It's also Albert Einstein's birthday. What is Pi Day? Well, it's a celebration of the number pi, which you often see represented by the lowercase Greek letter. It is one of the most well-known mathematical constants. It is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. For any circle, the distance around the edge is a little more than 3 times the distance across. This produces a number, and that number is always the same. However, the number is rather strange. The number starts 3.14159265 and continues without end. Why are we talking about a number, and what does this have to do with commitment? Pi, the number, not the dessert, although people do often bake pies today, is infinite. As I mentioned, it is called a mathematical constant, a word that, if used as a verb, can also mean to be committed, to be constant. People today have calculated pi out to 31 trillion digits. Can you imagine being so committed to a number that you take the time to figure out 31 trillion digits? Really large numbers can be hard to grasp. So to give you an idea of just how many digits that is, to count to just 1 trillion would take you over 31,000 years. Obviously, no one is counting out 31 trillion digits of pi. They're using computers and special formulas, but it is still a remarkable feat. It is something that takes a lot of dedication and, yes, commitment. So one of the ways that our UU faith can guide us to be a people of commitment is by telling us to keep going, even if there may not be an end. Because sometimes the thing that we are committed to is infinite. It never ends. But that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. One thing, though, that will not last forever is this time that we have been apart. And while it has been a whole year since we gathered together last, in the sanctuary, in our classrooms, under tables to share snacks, I am hopeful that we won't need to count too many more days until we do those things together again. I want to leave you today with these words by Dana E. Warsnop. I want to be with people. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they are getting at, and I know that they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see in me goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life, and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Each week we create a space in our worship together as a communal spiritual practice. We lift up the names and circumstances that call for our joy and our celebration, and for our concern and our sorrow. This week I lift up all those who are administering the vaccine to those who need it, and all those who are working so hard to get an appointment for themselves or for others. I lift up those among us who have spent the last year apart from those we love most in the world, which is many of us, or all of us. And I lift up all those who are struggling with illness of the body or mind, or who are struggling to overcome addiction or unsafe home lives. May they find strength and courage and peace. If you're watching this service in its live format, I invite you to type your joy or your sorrow into the chat box, or you can simply speak it aloud into the universe so that it might be held by all of us. Together may we trust that these joys, these sorrows are held by the universe, that they are held by each of us in our hearts with love and compassion and with care. At the beginning of our live coffee hour each week, we'll have a facilitator who will offer space for the sharing of joys and sorrows. And my prayer is that we will engage in a communal spiritual practice of holding these joys, these sorrows shared by all of us, listening deeply, offering care to those who need it. Now, holding in our hearts the joys and the sorrows of our lives, let us continue in some continued moments of prayer and meditation. And now we will share a moment of ritual and meditation together, using words written by my colleague, Reverend Kathy Ryan Starr. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is real for all of us, whether we are touched by it directly or indirectly. Some of us know people who have the virus, and its impact is getting closer as we learn of second cousins and friends of friends, or friends and family, who have died of COVID-19. This morning, we share a ritual to recognize deaths due to COVID-19, to note the particular pain of grieving in isolation, as well as to lift up gratitude for all those on the front lines: healthcare workers, grocery store workers, janitors, domestic workers. We will light many candles. If you choose to find a candle in your home, you're invited to light it with us this morning. Will you join me in lighting this candle of grief and gratitude? We light this candle in honor of all those working on the front lines in hospitals, nursing homes, grocery stores, and gas stations. I invite you now to name those who you know on the front lines. We light this candle to send our love to those dying in isolation, especially those who we know and those who are loved by those we know. I invite you now to name those who you know who have died of the COVID-19 virus. We light this candle to send our love to all those grieving deaths of all causes. I invite you now to name those who you know who are grieving. We light this candle in recognition of the enormity of this pandemic's impact on each of us, on those we love, on everyone, especially those already challenged by poverty, racism, transphobia, ableism, xenophobia, and more. We light this candle, this final beacon of light, in grief, in honor, in recognition, and most of all, in love. 1 year later, nearly 3 million lives lost to this invisible pandemic, countless more impacted. We lift up these flames as they honor the losses and light our way forward together.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Sigamos adelante, siempre adelante, siempre adelante, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Amaremos con pasión. Siempre con pasión. Siempre con pasión, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna reach across our borders, reach across our borders, reach across our borders. Never turning back, never turning back. Vivamos sin fronteras, siempre sin fronteras, siempre sin fronteras, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna reunite the family, reunite the family, reunite the family. Never turning back, never turning back. Familias reunidas, siempre reunidas, siempre reunidas, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, 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 never turning back.
Peace. We love you.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information will appear on your screen in a moment during the offertory music. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. The first time you give with the text link, it is a longer process, but after the initial information is entered, the following donations are quick and easy. So please take a moment and give through either the text option or the giving button on the homepage of the website. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
Our reading this morning are words by Lynn Unger called These Days. Anyone who tells you not to be afraid should have their head examined. Cities are burning, hillsides are burning, and the dumpster fire of our common life is out of control. I wish I could tell you when it's going to get better. I wish I could promise that better was anywhere down this road. I miss dancing, bodies in something between conversation and flight. I miss singing, the way we trusted the air that moved between us. I miss the casual assumption that everything would be all right in the morning. These days, I am trying to be buoyed by the smallest things: a ripe tomato, a smattering of rain. These days, I am trying to remember that songs of lamentation are still songs. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. When I am afraid or worried, these are the words that come to me over and over again. These are the songs that I repeat in my prayers to the universe to manifest love and generosity in our world. These are the songs I sing, sometimes with hope, sometimes with lament, when the world is hard. I learned these songs in my Unitarian Universalist congregation growing up. I've sung them as a child, a young person, and as an adult. I've sung them with you during Sunday worship services and in countless other congregations and in memorials and weddings and child dedications. We have sung them together. Remember singing together in our sanctuary? And I have hummed them in the solitude of the early mornings while journaling by the fire. This has been a trying year. In the year since we last gathered together physically in our sanctuary, we have lost some of our beloved members. We have grieved in new and strange ways. We figured out somehow how to have worship on the computer, on our television screens. Some of us are now working from home, schooling from home, teaching from home, learning clarinet and Spanish on the computer at home. So much is happening at home. I think it's safe to say that for most of us, our sense of home has taken on a whole new meaning during this pandemic time. For some of us, a welcome space to be apart from the world, and for others, a barrier to our feeling of connection to it. We are keenly aware that some among us are without the basic things they need, without homes or food, adequate medical care, resources. We've learned that the fragility of our health and the ways we are interconnected to each other are more intense than we may never have realized before. As Lynn Unger reminds us in our reading this morning, I miss the way we trusted the air that moved between us. The space between us can feel like it has grown exponentially. At times it might feel like we will never be back together. And we will never be back to what it once was. We will keep on moving forward, never turning back to what was in the time before, the before times, before all of this. And yet, we hold hope in our hearts that we will gather again. We will sing together again. We will someday be able to trust the air that moves between us again. I've mentioned before that this is not the first pandemic this congregation has survived. This congregation has lived through wars and conflicts, splits, pandemics, movements for suffrage and abolition, the reformation of our systems and our government. We are living in the movement for Black lives. And this congregation has made it through and will make it through because of you. If not you directly, then people just like you who have sat in the place you are sitting. Not necessarily people who've sat exactly where you're sitting right now in your living room or your kitchen table, but those who have sat in the pews in our sanctuary. The pews that are at this moment covered with plastic and dust from yet another renovation of our sacred space. This congregation exists because you exist in covenant with this place and its people, and the generations before you and after you. In Unitarian Universalism, our congregations are self-sustaining. This means that each of our congregations and their ministries are funded by the people who make them up. We are grassroots. This means that this congregation exists because over 150 years ago, a group of people decided to create a liberal religious community here in Ithaca. And generations of people since have promised to do the same. Generations before us have planted the seeds so that blossoming will happen in our lifetime. Blossoming they may not have witnessed. And now we are called to do the same. Pledging to support this congregation is a way that you can live and live into your value of generosity in your life. This congregation and its ministries, staff, and buildings are essential to the vitality of the Ithaca community. This congregation is the voice for Unitarian Universalism and its values in Ithaca. It is a gathering place for people searching for a sense of belonging, especially in a world trying to convince us that we don't need one another. It is a haven for those who are on the margins and a place for all to be invited in as the circle of love is widened beyond our imaginings. This congregation is a place to go, either in body or in spirit, when the world is hard, when it knocks us down. It is a place to sing, even if we're singing songs of lament and worry. It is a place to belong, even when we are far apart. As we embark on this year's pledge campaign, I know that there is a lot of uncertainty. I know that the next steps for this congregation are unknown and the journey feels difficult. And this congregation will keep on moving forward to live into its mission, to create connections, find inspiration, engage the world. And in that moving forward, we need you. We need your patience, your wisdom, your ability to live generously into this next moment. As you discern whether and how much to pledge to this congregation and its programs, I invite you to close your eyes. A pledge is a promise. A pledge is a commitment. And so it is that a pledge is how we sing the song in our heart. So I invite you, with your eyes closed, to consider what song is on your heart. What song helps you to move forward in hard times? What song is guiding you in this moment? Now imagine singing it alongside the people you love and the people you don't yet know you love, and the people you'll never meet who will one day sing together in this congregation because of your generosity in this moment. Imagine the queer child seeking a place to belong. Imagine the newly out trans person who for 60 years has lived closeted and finally finds a place they can be themselves. Imagine a family from different religious backgrounds coming together in one space to think about and to live into their values. Imagine you 150 years down the line. What do you seek? Where might you find it? May the song that is in your heart, may the song that is propelling you forward be a song of love. May it be a song of radical welcome. May it be a song of joy, of yearning, of beckoning to all in need of its message. So may it be. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to listen to my colleague, the Reverend Vail Weller, as she offers a reflection on the power of generosity as a spiritual practice in our congregations.
There are sacred moments, sparkling moments, when we answer the call to live out our values, and in so doing, bless the world beyond our imaginings. These powerful, sparkling moments are times when we are truly alive, when we feel and know and demonstrate our values because of the principles that have claimed us, because of this faith that we share, because we have been loved into being. It is time for the offering. This is a chance to give of your tangible energy to benefit the congregation which has nurtured and grown you, so that in turn it can be a powerful presence for future generations. This is an opportunity to make manifest generosity. This is an invitation to align resources and highest values. Susan Frederick Gray said, "The most important thing you can do for Unitarian Universalism is to generously support your congregation. It's transforming lives." Let us give now because our congregation is transforming lives and communities for the better. Let us give because we have been loved into being and because we want this same gift to be available to others. Let us give because we want generosity to be our response to the world. The offering will both be given and received with abundant gratitude.
Let it shine, up the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
As we extinguish our chalices, we do not let go of the hope and courage that they represent. We go forth from this place carrying with us the song that helps us to move through hard times, that song of love, of generosity, of the power of the human spirit to persevere. We carry our promise to work for justice, our compassion for all, our love, and our courage out into this beautiful and broken world. Our service has ended. Let our true service now begin. Go in peace.